Well. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of YouTube Creator News. It's good to be back for another week. Good to have you all here, whether you're live or on the replay. It's good to see you all. We'll jump into the chat in just a moment. This is, of course, YouTube Creator News Live. And for a few seconds this week, I thought we might have a lack of news, but there's one announcement this week, which the thumbnail's sort of giving away, that we got to talk about, and I think it's the most relevant topic that we're going to have in quite a while. For if you're a creator, we're gonna dive in right in the midst of the news later on and talk about thumbnails. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Let's jump in and see who's in the chat, who's rolling in before we get going on the news today. Just gonna start clicking on some numbers here on the screen and start shouting some people out. We've got Stephanie's is here. So hello and good beautiful Saturday morning. I hope I do better with words than that. I've had trouble. My tulips are blooming. It's the season. It's a season, particularly if you're in the northern hemisphere, coming into spring. I've got a button to press that I can auto this. Also, Amazing Off Destinations. Welcome. Of course, we're streaming horizontal and vertical to YouTube, so you might be watching me in the vertical. There is a horizontal version if that's your preference. Right on the channel, you go to the live page, you'll see both streams. So just letting you know, just in case you're wondering why everything's all narrow and thin, that's the vertical stream. We've also got Kevin Hawthorne here as well. Say good morning from Lakeland, Florida. As always, good morning. And I'm clicking the wrong buttons here. I need to stay on the buttons I need to click. Monique is here, just coming in from the walk. 8,000 steps walk. Or maybe it's the 14,000 steps walk. In any case, that's a good walk. Well done. Well done. Keep going to click on the message when I need to click on a different button. Here we go. Livestream consultants in the house. Good morning. We've also got Sophia Ripley is here as well. Welcome back. Andrew Ken is in the house wearing the shield that is also known as a moderator. Elizabeth is here as well. Speaking of moderators, saying hello to all the beautiful people in the chat. That is everybody here, in case you're wondering. And no one else so far. People coming in. If you're in Australia, it's a bit of a time change because it is an hour earlier for me, even though I'm still here, 7:30 Eastern US time. You know, the big time change happened last weekend, and so now, last week, I was streaming at 10:30, now I'm streaming at 9:30 p.m. It's a Saturday night, and I'm feeling like fresh as a daisy, a little bit more than I normally would. So maybe it's that hour that made a difference, or maybe I've been a little bit more relaxed today. It's one of the two. And so, yeah, so we're back. Everything's shifting around. Some places changed. Some places haven't changed yet. Some places are going to be changing soon. All that and more. Speaking of time zones, here's Paul Dixon in the house. Welcome. Good to see you. Brent's here. American English Brent. Saying what's up. Everyone's coming in. Everyone's saying hi to each other, which is great in the chat. So yeah, we got some things we're going to touch on today. We're going to talk big about thumbnails because that's like the last 24 hours. That's the news of the week. I think we teased it last week that there was some murmuring, or some rumoring that this might be coming, and the big announcement Friday. Boom, there we go. So we're going to talk about thumbnails. That's the headline topic for today. We've got some other news stories. It was looking really light on. There was no Creator Insider this week at YouTube video that they normally do. The last few ones have been like very short, one topic of consequence. It was like a minute and a bit each one, the last couple. And maybe it was that thin this week that they just decided to skip the week. So it's not this week at YouTube. It's a bit quiet. So, but anyway, we do have some topics to talk about. We've got some ones we're just going to touch on briefly in the Shortcuts. I've even teed up an interesting Ask Renee for you guys today. So So we've got a bit of everything for you. So we are, and Andrew's spoiling the news. Andrew's no, Andrew posted some stuff earlier today for me, which was Friday for you guys over there, and he did. I did grab one of his things just to save me screenshotting it. It was easier just to grab his. He did post it on the socials. So we're going to dive into those in just a second. But of course, at any point during the show, you can ask a question by dropping in the chat, putting a Q in front of it. It's a Q&A show as well. We do the news, we do the Q&A. We're going vertical, we're going horizontal, we're doing all the things. One day we might go into some other platforms. But hey, if you're talking about YouTube, most people who are following you to hear you talk about YouTube are probably going to be on YouTube. But we'll expand as we go into the year. We're going to expand the show. We're going to expand it. It's already getting put in automatically into video podcasts on YouTube. So we're going to expand that as well. So yeah, let's. I think it's time to dive in. What do you think? Let's do it. Let us do it.
Stay tuned for Creator News.
And as I mentioned, there was no This Week at YouTube video this week. So nothing from Creator Insider that's going to give us like the good rub from YouTube. Everything else we've picked up through the socials, through the Twitters and the Threads and the other socials. Announcements from YouTube coming later in the week. A lot of articles that we're going to touch on today. And the first one is going to be the introduction of unskippable 30-second ads on TV. Now, this doesn't sound like a huge thing because, we've seen unskippable 30-second ads on occasion on other devices. Most of the time we get skippables, and the ones that are unskippable are usually a little shorter than 30 seconds. But there's some interesting changes that YouTube's making in terms of watching YouTube on a television, like the one behind me. If I fire up my YouTube app on my Apple TV, then I could be seeing some of this. YouTube is expanding ad formats on its connected TV app to include 30-second unskippable spots, a move designed to mirror traditional cable television. Also, they say. So the article says, this change targets viewers watching on larger screens where skip rates are typically lower than, and lean back viewing is more common. In other words, if people are sitting down on their lounge with a remote, they're tending not to try and wait for the moment to skip like they might do if they're on desktop or their mobile phone. They're sort of settling in, letting the ads play while they get settled. And so YouTube evidently trying more 30-second unskippable ads in that environment. This is the word I'm looking for, environment. Viewers can only bypass these longer formats by subscribing to YouTube Premium. Of course, we know that. If you have full YouTube Premium, you don't get ads. You do not get like ads that are inserted by YouTube, at least. The update is met with significant user pushback. So, nobody likes unskippable ads, really, in some form or fashion. With some viewers expressing frustration over the increasing corporatization of the platform. And I laugh at that last line about the corporatization of the platform because it's YouTube. They're owned by Google. They're already corporatized. I don't know what people expect. People expect YouTube to be, all things to, free for everybody and different things. I think they're more generous than most platforms, put it that way. So that's interesting. So if you're a TV watcher, have you seen more unskippable 30-second ads? Like I've played some YouTube. I generally play a couple of times a week if I'm working here at my desk. I have the TV on behind me if there's a particular stream I want to watch or something like that might just play while I'm working, so I don't have to choose the next video to watch. And I generally don't get, particularly coming into the video, I don't get any unskippable ads that are that long. So that's interesting. It'd be interesting to see how widespread that is, because I have not seen that in the wild yet. So maybe that's something that's still coming. So let me know if that's something that you already seen in terms of watching YouTube on TV. All right, people are commenting. Let me have a quick look what we got here. This is people saying hello. Live Stream Consultant says, I've run into unskippable 60-second ads on the YouTube TV app. There you go. There you go. They're testing you. They're testing you to see if you're going to watch it or skip it. Getting in early, get that user data. Let's see. If it means more money for us, I like it. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Fair point. Fair point. I didn't think about it from the creator's perspective, but yeah, you're right. I'm just thinking as a viewer, it's like, okay, maybe if I'm settling in, I'm not going to hurry to skip to the program if I'm still settling in to get ready to watch whatever the program is, or the stream, or the video. So yeah, I might be allowing that to, and then that, yeah, it's helping creators. True, it is helping creators. It's not just YouTube taking all that. They're revenue sharing with all creators. Brent says, I was watching something on HBO Max this morning and there were 2 minutes of unstoppable ads. That's true. You do get, and then on regular, like free-to-air TV or broadcast TV, you're still getting ad breaks every 10 or so minutes, 8 minutes or whatever the timing is on the broadcast. And you're getting multiple ads before they come back to the program. You're getting many minutes of ads. And when you're on traditional TV, there's no skipping. It's not content on demand. So, all the platforms like Netflix and that, they're testing like what the threshold is for advertising, especially in that sort of lean back situation, TV in the lounge room, that sort of thing. Cacophonous Cat says, I love unskippable ads, usually shorter. Yeah, the ones I've come across have been, they might be like 10 seconds or 15 seconds or something, but there are the longer ones. Usually after a period of time, you can, jump in and hit the skip button. But we're talking 30 seconds, and Live Stream Consultants has seen 60, so that's interesting. That's it. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, let's continue to the next story. We're building up to the main one. Building up to the main one. Okay, the next one. Persistent sorting options for desktop users. So in the past, when you're viewing content on YouTube and you put it in a certain sort mode, next time you come back to YouTube later, it defaults back to whatever the usual default is. Often it could be like latest or something like that. But now YouTube is allowing whatever you set it to persist, so that next time you come back, it's in that same format, which I like that, because I like to see my content presented in a particular way. People do. So let's dive into this news story. A long-standing UI flaw. Someone's said the word subscribe. Has been fixed. YouTube on desktop now remembers your sorting preference, latest, popular, or oldest, for a channel's video tab. So we're talking particularly the video tab on desktop on YouTube. Previously, the sorting would reset to latest, which, I tend to prefer latest. I like to see what the latest and greatest is from a channel. Every time a user clicked the video and then hit the back button to return to the channel page. This update ensures that if you are browsing a creator's most popular content, the filter stays active throughout your session. Interesting. I don't have a lot more information than that. So reading that what you will, that's sort of telling me a couple of different things there. It's persistent, but not always persistent. So maybe we're talking session persistent and not user persistent. That's interesting. Let me know what you think. Is that good? I know, particularly if we're doing someone like me, where we might be looking at somebody's channel, we might want to filter most popular, so we can see what are the videos that are, have driven the most views, in the history of the channel, you know, the most views will come to the top if we hit popular. Oldest is a good way to quickly get to the bottom to find out what their original videos look like, the original ones that they put out. Maybe they haven't updated their thumbnails on those, and when you hit oldest, it's going to bring them to the top. Filter them in reverse chronological order, as we like to say. Or no, that would actually be chronological order if we're starting with the oldest. So yeah, there's different ways that people like to go and view the video orders. They're the only three that there are real options that are on there, particularly when it comes to the video tab on channels. So yeah, that's an interesting one. I thought that was an interesting update. Andrew says, let's go back to the last story, of course. If they allowed no ads on a channel by buying memberships, that's a huge incentive for members and guaranteed 30% for YouTube. That's an interesting concept, because what they're already doing, and we'll talk about this. I want to talk about this one. Let's bring it back. So in terms of memberships, right now for something like this, a live stream, YouTube is encouraging you to have the ads, like the mid ads on, because anybody who's a member, they're not going to show them to members in the live stream setting. I keep getting prompted to, hey, turn your ads on, and encourage memberships, because members won't get all the ads. We won't show as many ads to members. And I think that's an interesting sort of counterpoint towards what Andrew was just saying. Let me put that message back up. Because that's sort of a part way to what Andrew was saying, is like, well, on live streams right now, if you're a member, then you and that live stream happens to have ads on midstream ads, which today, by the way, on the horizontal I don't, but on the vertical I turn them on. I want to experiment. I turn them on. So if you're watching the vertical, let me know at any point if you get an ad pop up. But if you're a member, according to YouTube, they don't show either as many or any ads on the live streams to members who might be tuning in live. So I think that's an interesting thing, and it goes part of the way to what Andrew's saying if they allowed that. But then it would be like the other side of the coin when it comes to memberships and precluding ads maybe at scale. And that would be that if they're a member, and that it's effectively having a YouTube Premium for one channel, but would they want to do that for all the other channels that they want to sort of minimize ads for? Maybe not. But maybe then they would do memberships and not premium. I don't know. It's something tricky that YouTube has to find a balance for, that it's like, if we make this more too OP, then it makes YouTube Premium memberships look less attractive. Although YouTube Premium memberships is probably, and it will end up being a cheaper option, because once you have, 5 or so channel memberships, depending on what tier of premium you like and what level memberships they have set up on the channel, you might find that they end up paying less by going to premium, and then they go, well, I don't really need the membership, so I'm just going to get premium. If the motivation for getting the memberships, or a big chunk of the motivation of getting memberships, is to get ad-free viewing. So yeah, there's a bit of a balance that YouTube has to work out in that regard. It's not something that it's something they can work out, though, I think. All right, we're going to move on to the next story in terms of content sorting. I think we're done. Did anybody mention that? Let's have a look. Oh, even I'm commenting in the chat. Yeah, the automation of it all. When somebody says hi in the chat, it's an auto hi in back there. Yeah, Eileen said, I knew there was a comment here. I like this update. It's helpful if you're researching a topic someone has covered. Yeah, if it helps you to lock in the sequence of the videos so that you can work through them and not like refresh and then have them all go back to latest. And then you have to go scroll down and find where you're up to. Yeah, I agree. All right, next story. AI likeness detection for civic leaders and journalists. This was probably one of the larger announcements this week. It was earlier in the week. I think it was like Monday or Tuesday. It was like early in the week. So let's take a look. YouTube is piloting a tool that allows government officials and journalists to proactively identify AI-generated deepfakes of their faces and voices. Similar to Content ID, the tool surfaces matches in YouTube Studio, where participants can review the content and request removal. This is basically the same thing as the likeness tool that creators already have. They're expanding that to not just be for creators, but to be for civic leaders, politicians, journalists, that sort of thing, because they're in the public eye and they're more likely to be targeted with this type of AI deepfaking. The platform will still protect content in the public interest, meaning removal is not guaranteed for videos featuring parody or satire. To enroll, users must verify their identity via a video selfie and a government ID. This data is not used to train Google's generative AI models. So what they're basically saying is, at the end there is, you know, if you do upload your data, and the same goes for like creators. We already got the likeness tool, which I haven't done a video on yet. I think we talked about it last week actually. So something's on my list, on my to-do list, is how to go through and set up the likeness detection on your YouTube channel, or for you as a creator who is forward facing. In other words, you appear in your videos, so then there's an opportunity for people to take your likeness and create content with it. Now, in terms of not using that for generative AI, that tracks with what they've already said about the likeness detection tool. So, it's interesting that they're expanding that. And I would have thought if those people already had a channel, maybe they have an account, but maybe they don't produce content necessarily, but they're known, and I don't know how. I guess they verify that through the ID is that they are actually legitimately that person. That's why they do the video selfie and the government ID. For us, I think we have to do a video selfie only as a creator. I don't think we have to upload any type of ID, but it is a video selfie that we have to do. But I'll go into that one when I make the video on setting up your likeness detection. What exactly are YouTube asking you for in terms of identification, so that they know you are the person who you're giving the likeness for, all that sort of thing. So there's an interesting thing. I'm going to dive back into this. There might be some questions about this. There's big expansion. YouTube made a big deal about this at the beginning of the week. So it is something that they're sort of wanting to get out there in terms of people knowing that this is available. That model, speaking of the previous story, that model seems to work for Twitch. Paid subs equals no ads. That's true. So it's doable. I think it's definitely doable. I agree. And just continuing that, Andrew says, membership for one channel, that's a perk. Makes sense. It's an individual membership versus a site-wide membership. Most have both, so channel memberships could support people eventually wanting premium. Yeah, I think it makes sense. Like, I'm definitely open to it. I think that's a good idea. And if it's also as a bonus, it's helping the creators with more memberships equals more revenue. Obviously, it's more revenue for YouTube. They get their 30%, we get our 70%. I think, it can only be good. It can only be good. Amazing, not destinations. Say hi on the other side, on the horizontal this time. Andrew says, Doug's a reporter of the news. Does he count here? Am I technically a journalist? Well, I don't work for any publications per se, so. But I am presenting news, so I do see your point. Doug is an anchor on a news station. You could say it. You could say that. There we go. Michael Zahoski's here, Headroom 23. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Now it's time to get into the main story. And then some of the other ones we'll touch on during shortcuts. But let's hit it. Let's hit it. Let's talk about it. Thumbnails. YouTube has officially increased the thumbnail size limit from 2 megabytes to 50 megabytes of all creators. That's a massive. That's 25 times more file size available in terms of file size. Would you use all that? I don't know. I've done some testing today to find that out, and it's interesting. This update allows for high resolution 4K thumbnails, and now they recommend 3840 by 2160, which is basically like a 4K size, to ensure images look sharp on modern large screen TVs. The 50 megabyte limit is exclusive to desktop uploads. So if you're uploading on desktop, you'll have access to that 50 megabyte desktop upload level. Now, if you're on a mobile, because mobiles are premium for size, premium for storage space, so they're not expecting people to create massive 4K thumbnails on their phones. So they're still keeping that limit to 2 megabytes on mobile uploads. So if you want to do the bigger ones, you've got to go to desktop. And of course, if you're on a phone and you're doing like the square podcast thumbnails, which are the square ones, they do allow you up to 10 megabytes. And the interesting thing is for vertical videos, which usually we refer to as shorts, the custom 16:9 thumbnails will still be replaced by an auto-generated 4:5 image on the mobile home and subscription feed. So there's no real change there. That's happened for a while. And Paul just made an interesting thing. So let me put this down. If you're making 4K thumbnails, now Paul knows his stuff here because he does the graphic design. If you're making 4K thumbnails, then your source graphics, your photos and logos are going to need to be a higher quality. So in terms of making those pop still, then you are going to need to make sure you're taking high resolution photos, for example, or your graphics that you're creating, like for maybe a logo or whatever, it needs to be a high enough resolution that it's not going to start to pixelate and look janky when you put it on a high resolution file on like the 3840 by 2160, as YouTube is suggesting. So that's a very good thing to point out. And Andrew is reaffirming it's 50 megabytes if on desktop. But yes, there's more. Let's talk about it a little bit more. This is the image I stole from Andrew's social post. I did take my own screenshot, but it was on dark mode. I decided to use the white mode one. So this is YouTube's official sort of updated advice when it comes to creating thumbnails for YouTube, taking advantage of the 4K thumbnails. Now they're suggesting, of course, as we mentioned, having a resolution of 3840 by 2160, which is 4K. Upload image formats, JPEG, GIF, or PNG. Now, it's not an animated GIF, by the way, just in case anybody wondered. You need to remain under the megabyte limit, and then the limit depends, as we already mentioned, on where the device or where you're uploading. So if you're mobile, you're still at the old 2 megabyte video thumbnail size because they don't want you. I guess it's also a bandwidth saver because 2 megabytes as opposed to 50 megabytes. That's a lot more data that you're sending up. So if you're on a data plan where everything's sort of measured out and you're paying by the megabyte or you're paying by the gigabyte, whatever, you don't have unlimited like we do in a lot of places now, but you don't have unlimited on mobile. You usually have a limit on your plans. So therefore they're going to not require you or not allow you to do that, just so that you don't get caught out by the file size, I guess. Now, desktop, you can use up to 50 megabytes for both video thumbnails and podcast thumbnails. So that's 16:9 horizontal, 16:9, the wide, normal thumbnail format, and the podcast, which is the square 1x1s that you upload to be like the podcast header. Obviously, the individual videos within a podcast still using regular thumbnail 16:9 format. And they're saying that even if you don't use the exact resolution of pixels, try and keep it in that 16:9 ratio, aspect ratio, because that's what YouTube plays with the best, basically. And of course, as I just mentioned, podcast playlists upload a thumbnail with an aspect ratio of 1:1. That's a square. So yeah, if you are creating a square or a podcast thumbnail, the one that's like the one that goes up to YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music and wherever else you distribute podcasts to, remember they're traditionally square, so they have to be 1:1. And there is that note again about the vertical thumbnails, which I'm not going to repeat, because I think at this point, if you're doing vertical format, I think you know how to do your thumbnails. If you don't, I should have some. I've got some videos on my channel. They'll tell you how to do vertical thumbnails for shorts. All right. I am going to jump back to the main screen for a second. Just take a breather before we exit. Now, any questions, concerns? I do have a couple of points to talk about, but I'm going to do it on this screen, so I have everything in front of me. Let me just go through maybe some things to consider in terms of like strategy or best practice now that we have this option. And obviously, if you want to take advantage of it, we're going to be taking advantage of it from desktop. So we're going to be uploading the thumbnail at least on desktop. Even if you're uploading a video from phone, jump to your desktop and get this high resolution so it plays well with your TV. And so that's the first point. The prioritizing the high resolution, the 4K thumbnails, to ensure that your packaging looks professional and clear and not grainy on larger screen TVs. You might have a large, like, you know, above 48 inch, 80 inch, 100 inch. Maybe you've got a big, massive, beyond 100 inch size TV. You will start to notice the old 720p thumbnails getting a little worse for wear on a screen of that size, and that sort of resolution pixels that are like really, really small. That'll start to show up the weaknesses of a 720p thumbnail. Let's have a look. Just looking to see where my other notes are gone. I had other notes. Oh, they're gone. But I think that's the key thing. I think that's the key thing is the resolution, and that'll help people who are like watching videos full screen on maybe their 28-inch monitor on their workstation, maybe their edit machine. They have a very large screen because they're making sure that the quality is high. Maybe it's a 4K monitor and something like that. It's going to help make the thumbnails pop a little bit more if they are in fact in 4K and not 720p. So it's all about the resolution and the modern monitors. It's surprising that we haven't changed to 4K thumbnails sooner. All right, let's jump into the chat, see what people got. People saying hi. Drop that while I'm looking. What about playlist thumbnails? That's a good question. Playlist thumbnails. By default, playlist will take the thumbnail from the first video in the playlist list, but you can actually choose which thumbnail. If you don't let it default, you can actually go in and update that to a different thumbnail. And in particular, it could be a different thumbnail in that from a different video in that list. And I believe you can upload your own custom thumbnails for playlists now, if I recall. I'm a little rusty on that one. Andrew I think he's trying to lob that one up to me. But basically, yeah, you should be able to make sure that's a 4K thumbnail as well, because you know if people are coming into your playlists, they're going to see that one displayed on a TV, and you want every thumbnail going forward, at least, if you don't want to go back and do your old content, going forward and present it in the highest possible resolution so that it puts the best foot forward for your content. So yeah, so maybe I got that. Maybe I got the information wrong, but I think that's the case. I need to look into that. That sounds like a video that needs to be made. Brent's got a question. I said, started a mailing list because I'm releasing a course next month. Have you ever thought about doing that mailing list? I have a mailing list. I started the newsletter in early January this year, and so there's a mailing list involved with that. In fact, speaking of mailing lists, I've also taken some of that information that we're talking about in terms of all the details that YouTube's laid out for thumbnails and new recommendations and everything. I've put that in like a little PDF guide, and you can go and download that now. And now what that does is it goes to a landing page and it captures email address, so then people get on my email list. And now most weeks I send out a newsletter that summarizes the news, so you get similar content what you get here, but just in written form. I didn't do one last week. You know what? For some reason, I got busy on Monday and completely forgot that I had to put out a newsletter last week. So I didn't put one out last week. We'll do one this week. I usually do it on my Monday, so it sort of goes out like late Sunday night, US time, or you'll get it in your inbox on Monday morning when you get up. That's the thing. But we've got this guide, and let me type this in the chat real quick. And see if this triggers. Does that trigger the link? Yes, it's in the chat. I just posted that in the chat. So yeah. So in terms of the question, coming back to the question now, let me put it back up on the screen. Yes, mailing list is happening, and that's primarily now based around the weekly YouTube newsletter that I put out, which sort of summarizes the news that a lot of the stories are similar or the same to what I do on a Saturday, but in a written format. I sometimes talk about other videos I did, maybe give a tip in that newsletter each week, different things, and then let you know about podcasts or about the live show here or different things, promote what I'm working on as well through that newsletter. So yeah, I'm thinking about that. Courses, not that far down the track yet. That's a larger commitment for me in terms of doing a course. Let's have a look. Okay, 720p is fine. Yeah, 32-inch. Past that, 1080p is necessary for a crisper image, but hey, what about 4K? Absolutely. Yes, you can have custom YouTube thumbnails for playlists. Yeah, I thought so. And I'm like, I don't see people talking about it. And I know I've looked into it before, and I remember reading some documentation, and I need to make a video on that. Chantel's busy working on writing her course. She'll return in Avengers Doomsday. Is that where she is? I thought it's either that or I'm an hour earlier than usual for her, and she's probably forgotten that I'm going an hour early, even though we talked about it last week. Or she's writing a course. Because she keeps getting reminded to write a course. Where's the course, Chantel? I know that one. I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I think it should have gone into the vertical feed as well, because let me have a look. Oh, Chantel's in. Oh, Chantel's just popped in. Got a late note. Let me see. Thumbs. Oh, I put that in a social stream chat, and I thought it would have gone to both. How come it didn't post to both? They should have posted to both. Social Tree Ninja's doing both. Lots of chat. It should have posted it in both places. All right. I will. I didn't have it set for location only. I'm just posting it again in the vertical, just so the vertical has that link. There it goes. It's in the link. Yeah, I see. I think I know what I did. Anyway. Here we go. Late note. Just got home. Yeah, that's what happens when I stream an hour earlier. It sort of it sort of butts in closer to, whatever we're doing during Saturday. We're an hour earlier. 9:30 is earlier than 10:30. Anyway, I think we need to jump back in. We've still got some shortcuts to do, so let's hit it.
Yo, check the mic. 1, 2. Live from the studio, the insight's brand new. Dropping YouTube news that's strictly for the real. The feature updates and announcements, what's the deal? We got the inside scoop on the whole situation. Keep your finger on the pulse for this information. Get your daily dose, the essential guide. Right here on Shortcuts, where we let the truth ride. Yeah, Shortcuts. Word up, peace.
All right, shortcuts. I need to get rid of that watermark, Agent Opus watermark. I need to fix that. I didn't have time. I was going to go do it, and I didn't have time. We'll do it for next week. All right, we're going to hit a couple of quick rapid fire articles that sort of popped up in the socials this week. Somebody did an analysis of the science and the shift of YouTube face thumbnails. So people who do like the over-expressive, or something like that, that's my demo of my YouTube face. Got a little bit of example in the graphic there. Got the YouTube face on the right with the shock and the clickbait, and then you got your professional look with your calm delivery. Okay, this is the definition. The YouTube face, expressive, often shocked facial expressions, was popularized by Chucky Appleby and Mr. Beast. Chucky works for Mr. Beast, of course. To maximize click-through rates. So it's like people into it, allegedly. Obviously, they test that. Recent A/B testing by Mr. Beast's team in 2023, which doesn't make it recent if it's 2023 because we're in 2026, revealed that closed-mouth smiles and less cringe expressions actually perform better with modern audiences. So they're a little bit slow to transition then. I know they have been transitioning for a while. YouTube's algorithm is designed to prioritize thumbnails that lead to high retention rather than just mindless clicks. So you want them to click and then stick. So it's not just the thumbnail that gets them to click, it's the content that gets them to stick and stay and, high retention. So I butted in mid-sentence there. Rather than mindless clicks that cause viewers to burn out and leave quickly, some established creators like Derek Muller from Veritasium have found that they can reach millions of subscribers without relying on the expressive thumbnail trend. So if someone tells you, you need to use the shocked YouTube face, then test it. Maybe not. It's not just about winning the click, it's about also delivering on the promise. There's a whole bunch of things going on there. We could talk about that one for a while, but this is shortcuts, so we're going to continue. Okay, it was announced this week that YouTube and Google.org are launching a first-of-its-kind global program to combat the negative impacts of online exposure for young people. Of course, they're investing $20 million. The funding will create multilingual open-source resource center and curriculum based on an Ipsos study of 9,500 teens. The program focuses on helping teens and caregivers build healthy relationships with technology, specifically regarding AI interactions and mental health. YouTube is partnering with creators to deliver these lessons using formats and language teens actually engage with, rather than just relying on site restrictions. That's an interesting sort of announcement. Now, it's interesting that we're talking about YouTube and Google.org. Now, Google is usually just referred to as Google, and the site is called Google.com. Google.org, I'm making this assumption based on the wording, is like the sort of more of the outreach arm of Google, the humanitarian arm of Google in terms of doing good in the community. So I think that's what that's all about. They're partnering with YouTube and creators to build this initiative with a $20 million budget. I think that could be interesting. I don't know too much more about that, but it sounds interesting to me. And we will move on because we're doing it. It's YouTube outpaces traditional media in ad revenue. There was quite a number of articles this week, and they seem to be like every week or two, every month at least, we're getting this similar sort of vibe that YouTube is outpacing traditional media companies. And we're talking companies like Disney and Paramount, Warner Brothers, so on, in terms of revenue from broadcasting to the world, from the things that they do, from being a media company. Now, the article says that YouTube generated $40.4 billion in ad revenue in 2025. So that's just ad revenue, not other forms of revenue, officially surpassing the combined $37.8 billion earned by Disney, NBC, Paramount, and Warner Brothers Discovery. So YouTube by itself earned more ad revenue than those four companies combined. That's pretty mind-blowing. This represents a significant shift from 2024, where the platform's $36.1 billion haul trailed the combined revenue of those same four major studios. While YouTube is gaining on traditional entertainment giants, its ad revenue still trails significantly behind tech leaders like Meta, which earned $196.2 billion in 2025. So the big tech companies like Meta, that's interesting. So YouTube's positioning itself here and wants to be associated in the media space rather than with their parent company Google in the tech space, because they could go either way. But it's interesting that they want to align there, being that YouTube is primarily all about the visual media, video. Total revenue for YouTube in 2025 hit $60 billion when you factor in subscriptions like YouTube TV, Premium, and NFL Sunday Ticket. I'm assuming even when you talk about, their 30% cut in channel memberships that we were talking about before, all that sort of thing, that's all adding up into that $60 billion total revenue in 2025. Remember, that's revenue. Revenue is what's coming in. That's not profit. They're not making 60 billion profit. They still have to pay creators out of that, and their staff, and all their overheads, and the cost of running the business, servers, all that is coming out of that 60 billion. But I'd rather have the have 60 billion for it to come out of than be struggling to have any money to do anything. So good on YouTube for that. Good on YouTube. Now, before we do Ask Renee, let's jump into the chat and get caught up again. Happy birthday to Chantel's husband. There we go. Where are we? Doug, you need to post that video ad in other social media platforms with links to your YouTube channels and newsletter. Is that the shortcuts video? Is that the one you mean? Is that one we're talking about? The video ad. That wasn't really a video ad. It was just the intro. It was the intro to the segment. But there is, of course, the music video on the live stream trailer. That is out there. I did post that to a couple of socials this week. Let's see. Andrew says, YouTube phase worked because everyone was calm. It stood out, and now that everybody's expressive, calm stands out. My 2 cents. That is true. That is a very good point. That's a very valid point. Brent says, my wife makes fun of my YouTube face. And Andrew says, that's commenting to Chantel. How are the Avengers, Chantel? There we go. And g'day to, I don't even know how to pronounce that because those characters, Starbucks. How to wash. I don't know what that means, but yes, I shower regularly. So yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I've got it linked in the I got it linked in the description, so as well, and it's also in my music playlist. But yeah, people can find the music playlist. If you go to my playlist, it's in the music playlist. All right, I think it's time for another segment that has a musical intro. Let's knock this out.
Social answers clear as day. Just step up and ask Renee. Just step up and ask Renee.
All right, this week isn't a question that was directly directed at Renee to answer as the YouTube creator liaison, but he decided it. He saw this one from vidIQ of all people this week, of all companies. They're not people. Well, they are people. People work there. Yes. They put this one out, and Renee decided that he probably needed to correct this. This is what vidIQ said. It says, short strategy most creators miss. Turn off publish to subscribers notifications. Have we heard that chestnut lately? I think even Nick talked about this one last week on the stream. Your long-form audience sees it and scrolls past. YouTube kills its reach. Oh my goodness. That's scary. Let the algorithm find the right audience. Yeah. I don't think they conveyed maybe what they were meaning, but Renee had to correct them. Renee answered with some corrective words of wisdom coming directly from YouTube. Renee says there's no reason to do this. It only stops the video from being shown in the subscription feed because that's what the box is. I don't know why I've got this video at the bottom here. Let me get rid of that. Where'd you come from? Okay, that shouldn't be there. There was two of me on the screen. Let's keep reading. Subscribers will see it on the homepage, in the Shorts feed, in suggested videos, which is where the vast majority of subscribers actually watch from. Moreover, since each traffic source is influenced by that same traffic source, you've probably heard that one from Renee before, it's if someone scrolls past in their subscription feed, it has no effect on performance on the homepage, in the Shorts feed, and suggested or search, which is true. Because if it's gonna, yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I just want to leave that out there. That's Renee's stance, and that's also the what YouTube keeps coming back with in terms of when they talk about traffic sources, informing traffic sources. I know Renee shares that particular one a lot on the socials because people think, oh, because something's not happening in, somebody's using my video as an ad. I'm getting traffic source of YouTube advertisers. That's going to tank my browse. That's going to tank my search and my suggested. According to YouTube, it doesn't. So that's something to keep in mind. So I'm interested to see if you had any thoughts on that particular one. And I thought the boldness of Renee, well, he's allowed to. He works for YouTube. To correct vidIQ on that particular one. Came across that one today, and so that became this week's Ask Renee. I thought I'd share that one. All right, open up Q&A time. If you've got a question for me, drop it in the chat. Put a Q in front of it, if at all possible. Let's let people know where we are. Put up the branding. I haven't put up the branding all show. So let's jump into the chat and see what we got. And then in a few minutes, I'll let you know what's coming up later today. Because, being a Saturday, there's always jam-packed with YouTube education stuff. So we're going to talk about what's coming up in a moment. So let me find where we're at in the chat. Okay. Oh, the chat has slowed down. We need to get that intro to Daryl Leaves to play when Renee goes on stage. I know it needs a bit of work. That's like I edited that. That was like, well, yeah. Maybe the song's good, but yeah, I think that maybe I need to edit the visuals a bit. Like I created that, like there's that screen where it looks like he's live streaming. It's got my little message in the bottom that looks like a live stream. It's bringing up the message to answer a question. Yeah, that was all. That was all nano banana. You know that. It's nano banana. that wasn't a real stream. The question is, do I need to acknowledge that as AI? Maybe I do. Maybe I need to go and say yes. I said no. I can see the interesting thing. Let's talk about this while people are maybe want to make a comment or drop a question, put a Q in front of it. I'm just looking at my back end here, my live stream. It's definitely doing something in the vertical feed today, because the view count's way higher than usual. We've had 209 views over there. Obviously, we don't normally get that many on the horizontal, and where most people are watching, and we're up to like 40 unique viewers. We've got 11 concurrent right now on the horizontal. I've got only 4 concurrent on the vertical, but we've had 209 people like swipe past at least. I guess that's what that means, swiping past. So that's interesting. The test continues. The test continues, and I do have ads turned on the vertical today. So I wonder if that's the only thing I've done different to previous weeks. So what do you? What's your opinion on that? I don't know. I don't have an opinion yet. All right, let's see. Wait, this is created news? I'm out. LOL. I think Daryl and Renee would love it. I know the audience of Vid Summit would go crazy for it with it. Yeah, we might be able to do something. Maybe we can update the visuals a little bit. Because I got like flying logos everywhere. It's like it's not the most groundbreaking visuals. But yeah, song's all right. Song's catchy. The song is catchy. Yeah, if you got a question for me or anything else, drop it in the chat. But while you're doing that, let's look at maybe what's coming up later today. Where is that? There it is. There's the button. Let the music play. Coming up 9 a.m. Eastern, Nimmin Live. Of course, as always, Nick and Dee are going to be coming at you live coming up soon. I think that's about 32 minutes from now. Daryl Leaves is going live, 12 p.m. Eastern, as usual. Another stream this week, as is Roberto and Andrew, I believe, over on the Opus Clip channel again. And then that should be around 1 p.m. Eastern today. I did see that was already scheduled, and they're talking about AI slop over there on that one today. So that's an interesting one. And as usual, on Sunday, Chantel will be going live at 7 p.m. Eastern. And of course, I'll be back here 7:30 a.m. Eastern next Saturday for YouTube Creator News with more news. Who knows what they're going to drop on us in the coming week. And whatever it is, we'll talk about it. We should talk about it. All right. And remember, putting a Q in front of your question helps me see it in amongst the chat. Oh, this week's Daryl stream is a Q&A rather than having a guest. That's interesting, because usually I see people that like posting their questions in there, and then they have to like wait till the end to maybe hopefully get them seen. But by that time, they're gone in the chat. So yeah, a Q&A show would be pretty cool. You know, we'll have 3 hours of Q&A with Nick and Dee, and then another hour or two with Daryl. That is very good. Very good. All right. The other thing I need to check on is to see if Nick has actually scheduled his stream, so I can link you all. Make it easy and simple for you. There it is. Let's drop that in on the vertical. I've got to go drop it in on the horizontal. Twice the streams, twice the work, as they say. Yeah, if you've got a question, drop it in the chat. I do have a video in the works. Let's talk about upcoming videos. How can this happen to me last week? On one, it showed me Nick's stream. On the other one, it didn't. There it is. I had to go looking. All right. We're all ready to redirect over to Nick and Dee's stream at the appropriate time. And what is that appropriate time? I will tell you. It should be at 9 a.m. Eastern. Yes, it is 9 a.m. Eastern. All good. Sometimes there's like a 15-minute discrepancy. Sometimes it's like coming in hot. But yeah, no, we're all scheduled. So once we're done here, you'll automatically end up in Nick and Dee's pre-stream chat. Once we're done, whether you're in the horizontal or the vertical stream, that will happen. So that's pretty cool. So let's I'm gonna have a quick look. Let's talk about the upcoming streams in a little bit more detail. I'll just see if I can get them to load in my little browser extension. No, it doesn't want to load me all the live streams. Load me the live streams, please. I'll let it sit for a bit while it loads. And if that's the case, I think we need to do this.
It's the last call.
It's the last call. It's the tail end of the stream where we say it's time, or it's the last chance at least, for ask a question, make a comment in the chat before we wrap things up, and get ready to join Nick and Dee at the top of the hour. And as always, this is tradition now. It's the last call, y'all. There it is. All right. My extension doesn't want to populate the live streams today. Let me try reloading. It doesn't want to load. Okay, I'll see if I can find them. Yeah, as I said, on the Opus Clip channel, we will be Roberto and Andrew will be talking about AI slop. The title is YouTube's AI policy is not what you think. YouTube slop explained. That could be interesting. If you wondered what YouTube's doing and how they're doing it in terms of what AI slop is, channels getting demonetized, seemingly other channels are continuing with AI slop are continuing to exist. What does that all mean? I'm sure they'll be talking about it there. All right, where's Daryl's stream? Here he is. Here he is, live Q&A. Simply titled, Ask Me Anything About YouTube. Live Q&A of Daryl Eves. So if you have a question that you want to ask Daryl, but he's been busy interviewing his guests each week, then this week is your week to ask that question that has been bugging you for some time. Or you just want Daryl's opinion on a particular topic when it comes to YouTube. That is definitely the way to go. It's all cluing in. Is that the Avengers reference? Earlier in the chat, Andrew did say that you will return in Avengers Doomsday. I thought that was funny. Yes, the Avengers reference, absolutely. All right. Okay, the video I'm currently working on, that's what I was going to talk about. I'm thinking there was something else I was going to mention. The video I'm currently working on is... Okay, so last week I put out, Monday, I put out the quizzes video. The quizzes video is, I got a 2 of 10 on that at the moment, so that's, I'm sort of happy with that, 2 of 10. Out of the last 10 videos I put out, it's ranking number 2 at being, released on Monday, and at Saturday, it's at 2 of 10. I love that. Oh no, my screen locked. It's always going to happen, doesn't it? Doug, cannot find Daryl's stream. Set the notifications channel. All right, I'll get the link. I still have that page open. I just scrolled up so I don't. Actually, when did he schedule that? Did I just scroll past it? I think I scrolled past it. No, there it is. Get the share link. Copy. Chantel's already posted it. of course. I knew that would happen, but I thought, well, I'm going to look anyway. So that's the link to Daryl's stream. So that's coming up. That'll be right at as Nick and Dee are wrapping up after their show. So at that time, so be able to go from one to the other if needed. If that's your jam, then that's what will be happening. But yeah, so yeah, I put the quiz one out. So the quiz one's interesting. The interesting thing about the quiz one is this is a feature that YouTube hasn't acknowledged in like a Creator Insider video or an announcement on socials. So I think there might be more to come. I think there might be more that they're doing, but people can already take advantage of it. So watch my video if you haven't already. That is going to be some interesting stuff in terms of interactivity with your viewers, different things like that. But more details, go and check that video. It's been out for 4 days, 23 hours. So it'll be 5 days out, and it is currently sitting at 2 of 10 for me on that one. So that's pretty good. The other thing, the one I'm working on, the one that I filmed last week that I am now starting to work on. Where's my Trello so I can tell you what it's about. Doesn't want to open. David Matney is here. Welcome. I heard David Matney get a shout out on Dusty Porter's show where he had Nick as a guest. I don't know how long ago it was, but it's where I was up to on my podcast queue, and he had Nick on, and then he David got mentioned as a real estate agent in Omaha, and I'm like, I know who that is. I think he's using your channel as an example of something, and I'm like, as David Matney, I know who that is. So if you haven't heard that, it's on the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. The episode recently where Nick Nemman was a guest. Yeah, pretty cool because he was giving some examples of channels and use yours as an example. I don't know why my Trello's not opening. Where's my Trello coming up? I've lost my Trello display. No. All right, let's send it. I think it's opening up on a weird display. Let me send it to display 3. No, maybe it's display 2. I think my extra monitor for streaming, which is like my confidence monitor here, my iPad that becomes, reflecting off the thing for my camera so that I can see myself and see what's on screen. I think it's popping up behind there, my Trello, and I can't. I haven't gotten back. I'm in the middle of editing it, and I haven't done it. I haven't gotten back to it in 3 days, and I've totally forgot the topic of the video. I was going to mention, hey, I'm making a video on this. It's something recent and new that I'm doing a video on, and I just can't remember what it is. Oh, multi-language thumbnails. Multi-language thumbnails. We're talking about thumbnails. I think that was one of our topics last week. This week, we're talking about upload thumbnails. Multi-language thumbnails. Now, that's a question that I need to find out. The multi-language thumbnails have that 50 meg limit on desktop as well. I'm going to find that out. That's something we should find out. Because I know last week, I showed multi-language thumbnails. I showed you that you could start uploading those. That's a new feature rolling out. So you can change the text on your thumbnail. So if it's in English, you can change it to Hindi or French or German or Japanese. So I'm doing a video on that. Walkthrough, showing you how to do it. All that. Check display 4. That's what I need. Maybe that's my display 4, although it's not connected to my Mac. So that's connected to my iPad that's over here. It's over here. All right. I'm going to play that again, just as a reminder. It's the last call. I don't usually play that twice.
It's the last call.
That's radical. Okay, you got any more questions or want to make comments before we wrap things up? This is the last chance to do that today for the show. And then we're going to all measure on over. You'll automatically redirect to Nick and Dee's stream. You'll be in their pre-show chat. All that good stuff. So look out for that video on multi-language thumbnails. Hope I'll get it out by Monday, but I've got to do some editing. So tomorrow, I'll hopefully knock that off if I can. If I get the edit done, then it will be up on Monday for my usual upload slot. Awesome. So yeah, just recapping the news today. We talked about the new file size increase for thumbnails, only announced in the last 24 hours as being rolled out. In fact, for these live streams, I did 4K thumbnails and put them and uploaded them. They uploaded successfully. The file size was bigger than 2 megabytes. I think it was around 7.5 megabytes each. So they uploaded fine for live streams. So it worked for live streams, just so you know. So the new limit seems to be working. I will try also when I do the thumbnails for my next video. I'll attempt to do 4K thumbnails instead of the old 720p's. Although I know some people used to try push through the 1080s and do them as JPEGs and finagle it to keep it under 2 megabytes. But you don't have to worry about that anymore. You've got the space to upload high resolution thumbnails. That's the big one. Wow, this is weird seeing you in the short shelf. Good to see you there. Yeah. Well, we're in the you're looking at the vertical version. If you're in the short shelf, of course. What else would you be seeing? Yeah, it is a bit weird. Yeah, it's doing all right. The views are ticking over on there. Obviously, people are swiping, but hey, we've got a question. YouTube gurus all say 3 to 4 elements in YouTube thumbnails, but I've noticed off YouTube more involved thumbnails seem to get noticed more. Have you seen any difference on your YouTube thumbnails? Like, I'm a big advocate. It annoys me when people clutter their thumbnails. I now enjoy the subtlety, and like I always, back in the day, particularly before the last probably 1 or 2 years, I used to often add more to my thumbnail than I needed, and sometimes I would then like back a few things off, delete a few things, just make it simpler. And then I start to think more about the way that the eyes direct around the thumbnail. What are people drawn to on the thumbnail? I don't always think that for every thumbnail, but then it's sort of one of the general things that I do. In terms of, off-platform, in some cultures, they do fill the thumbnail. They just put words everywhere, or there's a lot of visuals. AI thumbnails are tending to often generate a lot of visual clutter under the guise of a thumbnail style or a image style. Sometimes that might work because sometimes they go like the ultra saturation, like the colors pop out and everything. But I think if you you can still get lost on that sort of thing. And I think simple and clarity is still good. But sometimes it does help to have a point of difference on your thumbnails than what everybody else in the same space is doing. So you stand out, like Andrew mentioned before. Everybody's doing normal face, so then people went to YouTube face. They got over-indexed, so now everybody's going back to doing it's like doing something different to stand out from what everybody else is doing. But then people click on. So we're going to see a cycle where we go YouTube face, regular face, and then back to YouTube face, and back to regular face. So we're going to go in that cycle. But in terms of clutter, I think if it distracts, then you could lose the click. But at the same time, if there's something that grabs their attention, but it is a little cluttered, but it does grab their attention, then it's probably something that in the end, you do need to test that with your audience, because every audience has different tendencies. So we go and tell, like in some cultures, that maybe you're filling up your thumbnail too much because you're filling it with information, but maybe that works in that culture. Maybe it's different. In a Western culture, it doesn't work, but they're over in that other culture, maybe in an Asian country like India or somewhere, they overfill, like a lot of text, a lot of information. It looks like like an old school, it's like the overfilled webinar thumbnails or something that you see sometimes, and then it's got like the time and the date and the speaker's name and a big promotional picture of the speaker and then the title of the seminar and the subtitle of the seminar, and it's like all on there. I don't know if that works for seminars, but it can look cluttered. So it's a matter of testing. You got to always test things. So that's my thoughts on that. But I do gravitate towards the keep it simple advice, and not over cluttering the thumbnails, not putting too much text on. If you have to make people work for it, then they're going to keep scrolling. Like I'm an advocate of that. Got to find the balance between too much words. Like no words can be effective, but sometimes you do need like a couple of words that could grab attention, that sort of complement the image. So yeah, things to think about. Well, it's about 14 minutes till Nick and D go live, so I'm going to wrap things up now. And I thank everyone for watching today, watching the news. If you missed the news portion of the show, make sure to go back, watch the replay, and we'll see what's going to go down in terms of the different things. And of course, in the link, there's a link in the description if you want to download the free thumbnail guide, which gives you all the new recommendations from YouTube in terms of the resolution, aspect ratio, and it breaks down the formats and the fact that you can do 50 megabytes on desktop but not on mobile. It's 2 megabytes on mobile still. The different options there in terms of the device that you're uploading from. All that and everything else you need to know about the thumbnail update is in that guide. So you can all you have to do is fill in your email, and you'll get a confirmation email, and then once you confirm, you'll get the download. I believe that's how it works. I shared it on social just before I went live, so it's out there on a couple of places. It's in the link of the description as well. So yeah, I hope you have a great week. I'll see you next week with more news. Hopefully YouTube's got some more news for us. I thought we were dire until the thumbnail one came out this week. But I want to appreciate you all, and I will see you all over on Nick and D stream. I am going to turn all that stuff off, and I'll find my end screen. Catch you later.